Hey team, I thought I'll do a quick video while the weather is pretty bad out there, and I think it's going to be bad for the next few weeks. I'd like to share a bit of our knowledge and some of the things we've learned over the years, and referring back to our older videos for those beginners in rock fishing. So just a summary of this video. I'll begin with where to start with rock fishing, safety, which is very important, some of the gear that you will need, the fish and the seasons to catch that fish, potentially, locations, etiquettes and respect. Just to let you know that I'll be providing links to our previous videos referring to some of these in detail, so you can watch those videos also. Now, taking it back, no one really taught us how to fish. In actual fact, when we used to be on certain ledge rock fishing, some of the more experienced or some of the locals won't even talk to us. They'll ignore us. Some of them look at us funny. Not a problem. We continued on. We just started learning it by ourselves. There was a handful of guys that did teach us. So shout out to Millie and his mates, and they really gave us a good head start on how to target the bigger fish, the bigger pelagics. Partly also the reason why we started up our own crew and our own community, so we can share knowledge. And it's also the reason why the YouTube started. If you watch us from the beginning, it was around sharing that knowledge with others. Now, it does tie into our values as a team, as a group of mates. We do like to share knowledge with others, not locations though. We abide by the law, we follow the law to the T. Sometimes we make mistakes, but we try to abide by it as much as possible. We don't believe that if others catch fish, that it reduces our chance of catching fish. And on the contrary, we actually feel like that would actually make it better for us to be able to catch more fish. And finally, it's all about having fun, guys. Having fun with your mates and not taking it too serious, really. So this is a great sport. We do like to share it with others. It should be accessible to all Australians and not just a handful. And hopefully this video will be able to help others new to the sport. I would recommend forming a crew, right? Find a few friends that like to hang out potentially. Some might not like to fish, and learn as a group how to fish, especially rock fishing. Abide by the law is probably the next point I would like to make. Learn the rules, right? Learn the legal size limits, learn what is the maximum number of fish you can take and what fish you can take. This is very important. And also some of the safety gear is by law, you have to wear it. And start fishing in the harbor or breakwalls. This is an easier place to learn how to fish as opposed to rock fishing. Less dangerous. I guess breakwalls can get dangerous at times, so harbor is probably the most ideal. Just how to do knots, how to set up the bait, use a lure, and all those things, and casting especially. So start in the harbor and then work your way up to the breakwalls, and then potentially go to rock fishing. One of the most important aspects of rock fishing, and in the last few months you would have heard some of the people that got washed away, and this is very important, guys. This is something that we take very seriously, and one of the pieces of education that we need to share amongst fishers. Understand the conditions, understand the swells, understand the intervals between the swells and the waves, understand the wind. All these put together gives you an indication of how safe the condition is. There is a video that I explain in a bit more detail about that, but there's a whole bunch of videos that you can watch on YouTube. But this is very important, guys. Don't get out there when it's 1.8 meter swell, 2 meter swells, 3 meter swells like it is this week. Don't get out there, especially if the intervals are wide apart. That tends to create bigger waves. So please be safe out there, starting with understanding the conditions. Then tell someone where you're going, right? And go with someone else. Don't go on your own. Just in case something happens, at least someone knows what's happened to you, or can contact emergency. Make sure you have the safety gear. And I always talk about this, right? Cleats and life jacket. The life jackets, guys. I've been hit by a freak wave, and there's a video, a previous video. If you were to be washed out into the ocean, it doesn't matter how strong you are. If those waves are strong, forget it. If the conditions are bad, there are options, guys. You can fish in the harbor. You can fish off the beach. We started beach fishing and we're enjoying it now. But these things are an option. Take that option. It's a safer option. Why risk your lives? And finally, cover up. The sun in Australia can get nasty, you know, so cover up, or, you know, put in some sunscreen, but we cover up to make it simple. Right, this is the fun part, talking about gear. This is where the moneyest aspect comes into it. Now, it depends on what you're trying, or what you're fishing. You know, if you're fishing with bait, lures, or live baiting, is different gear. And I'm not going to go into too much detail. There are other videos where I did go into detail about that. But the key part of this is buy within your budget, right? Don't buy expensive gear and you're a new beginner and expect that gear to be, you know, well maintained. It's going to get damaged. So buy within your budget. In terms of reels, our recommendation at the lower end would be a Shimano Sedona, or a Dewa BG. Now, if you get to the mid-range, we would recommend Stratic or a Saragossa as our go-to. In terms of rods, the lower end, for me personally, I'm really loving the Atomic Arrows at the moment. It's really doing a good job, and it's handling some of the bigger fish. In terms of, you know, spinning and lures, we've been using Colt Sniper, my Demon Blood. I'm loving the Demon Blood, or more recently the Ocean Legacy. Slightly a bit more expensive, but very light and easy to cast. With braid line, because we use braid line, J braid would be our go-to. Relatively cheap, accessible, and quite strong. So that would be our go-to. But any of those more expensive or mid-range braid is okay. With lures, three of our main lures that we use at the moment, and we're loving it, is the Dual Hardcore, the Storm Soran, and the Zerek Kavala. You'd see it in all our videos. These are the three lures that we use. Relatively cheap, only about around $20. Quite small, cast a mile, and they've been working for us. Hooks, if you're using hooks, if you're using bait, you can't go past Mustards and Gamakatsu. So, I mean, those are standard, but some of the other brands are okay too. But these two have been a sure thing for us. And when you're rock fishing, I would recommend getting a gaff. Go buy a gaff at your local tackle store, preferably something light. I've got the Hookem gaff, which is quite expensive and quite heavy. But yeah, unless you're going to be using it all the time and you're targeting really big fish, just get one from your tackle shop, one that extends and it's aluminium. Right, fish and the seasons when those fish come around. So it is based on water temperature and currents when it comes to rock fishing. I'm not an expert. I'm telling you right now, I'm not an expert in reading these things. But what I do know is in terms of months when they come out. So December to around April tend to be rat kingies, bonitos, mac tunas, and jewfish at the beach, and that's the current season right now we're in. You know, and that's been the fish that we've been targeting. Now from February to May, the big guns come out. The long-tailed tunas, the LTs, or the Spanish mackerels also come out. Mate, they're prolific. You can catch them all the way from northern New South Wales all the way to the south coast. So they're everywhere during that season, and it's just about putting in the time. May to November, you're looking at more of the bigger kingies and trevally. You know, that's long hours trying to get those ones. They do come out there during this period. It is the colder period, and we tend to go hibernate during this period. October to December tend to be the snapper season, but usually it's offshore. You might be able to get some stonkers and reds off the rocks, but that's the season there. But all year round, you'll get sambos, you'll get tailors, brim and flatties. All these things are always available in the off the ledge. All right, locations. Now, this is a very sensitive topic. One thing I've got to tell you guys is that a lot of the more experienced fishers are very territorial. So as a general rule, the more north you go in New South Wales or in Australia, the more tropical the weather is, and you'll find more tropical fish. That's the general rule. From mid-north coast to north of northern New South Wales, you'll get better chance of catching tuna, long-tailed tuna, and Spanish mackerel. From the central coast to the Gong, it's more bonitos and sambos that you're most likely going to get during those seasons, but you will get those other two fish that I explained earlier during certain periods, but not as common. In the south coast, that's where you get the big kingies. Big kingies. That's where a lot of the real LBG guys really target some of the bigger fish like marlins and big tuna. There's also massive calamari there if you're looking to target squid. One thing I've got to say is if you want to find a new location, you really need to test it out. You really need to go there and check it out. Don't rely on other people's information. Go there and check it out, guys. That's the key. But a couple of pointers that I've got to tell you in terms of finding or knowing where the locations are, and this is what we did. Go to Facebook. You'll see a lot. There's been comments about our Facebook posts, but I'm not going to talk about it here. The monthly fishingreport.com.au, they tell you locations, places that you can go to where they're catching certain type of fish. Buy some of the fishing books from a BCF or Anaconda, the AFN ones. They tell you all the popular ledge, all the locations. They don't tell you how to get there, unfortunately, but you'll get a good indication of the location and what you can catch. Go to the local tackle shop. All right, they'll tell you, man, where people have caught certain fish. All right, not just Facebook. Tackle shops are doing it because it's their bread and butter, guys. And then finally, check the fishing forums on the internet. And there's a lot of discussions there. You'll sort of pick up hints here and there. And then finally, you know, if you do get a chance to speak to others, then speak to others. And usually this is probably the most difficult part of it. So there's a couple of simple tips. Now, a couple of general rules. Don't go to popular fishing ledge, and think you're gonna do live baiting all day, because some of those ledge are very busy. You know, it's actually a good place to start fishing with lures and casting lures, those locations. But if you think you're gonna do, you know, live baiting, big live baits with 40 fishers there, you're just gonna open up a can of worms. This is especially during weekends. So avoid that. Try to find a ledge that's less crowded. Find a secret spot if you can. Fish on the weekdays, or do what we do and drive 3 to 4 hours north or south of your town. I mean, we've done 15, 16 hour drives for nothing. So there's a couple of tips for you guys if you really want to do the live baiting and do the real LBG fishing. So etiquettes and respect, and this is important in life in general, right? One thing that we believe in is no one owns the ledge. You know, even the locals, you don't own the ledge. It's free for everyone, but be respectful. So people that come around to locations, be very respectful to others, whether they're locals or non-locals. Respect those that are live baiting in a place where it's, you know, known as a live bait location. Respect those that come earlier and let them choose their spot. Those that are live baiting, watch your live bait and don't just put it on the rod holder and leave it. I know some of the boys, some of my mates do that, and I often tell them to not do that because it's very disrespectful and it does disrupt other people fishing. Don't cast over others, please. If you don't know how to cast, go somewhere to learn. Don't do it where it's busy or there's other people fishing around you. It's very bad form, guys. Very, very bad form. Be mindful when someone else hooks up to a big fish. You know, the general rule is you reel in your live bait or you reel in your bait or your lure and allow them to fight that fish and try to land that fish. Be kind to others, guys. It's very simple. This is an Australian culture where you be kind to others, speak to others, share your knowledge, and you'll get things in return. Like you'll never expect it. You know, karma is real. One thing that we stress is clean up after yourselves. Take your stuff, man. Some of the stuff we've seen, people leaving their seats, like, you know, those beach seats, leaving their tables. People leave umbrellas. This is crazy. Come on, guys. You wouldn't want that in your backyard, right? So please pack up your stuff and take it and just dump it in the bin. It's not hard. And finally, you know, social media. Post up whatever you want, but please don't put it on locations on social media. And those that are watching it, if you know the location, just leave it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Go there yourself. Don't put it on social media. It's not nice. It's not nice. And you're gonna see people catching, and people are proud of their catch, like we are. We want to share with everyone and share it with their family and friends. You know, you can call it clickbaiting, you can call it whatever you want, but you know, it's a proud moment. You spend hours and you spend a lot of money to do that, and you should be allowed to post it up. But those that are reading it or looking at it, please don't post up locations. So final point, teach others and share this great sport with others. You know, it's such a great sport to get out there and and have a good time with your mates and your family. The best thing to do is educate others on how to do it safely. You need to do the hours to be able to catch the fish, right? Don't think that it's just going to be instant. Do the hours and you'll get the results. On a final note, do your research, put in the time, learn how to fish those locations and have fun. And guys, good luck in the current fishing season, and hopefully you'll get that big one also.